The best conversations happen at happy hour. Welcome to Ours.
Welcome aboard.
This is the PT Pintcast. Here's your host, physical therapist, Jimmy McKay.
And Katie Sutton from the PTA Plus podcast. Jimmy McKay is not here. He was here. We are reporting live from the Future of Rehab Therapy Summit. And Jimmy McKay had another commitment, so he left me alone with his technology, and I am running with it. So we'll see if PT Pintcast actually releases this one, but it'll definitely be out on the PTA Plus podcast. So today we have two guests with us, Shannon Simpson, physical therapist assistant from Ohio and first-time guest to the show. We also have a returning repeat offender. I'm just joking. Miss Sanaz Holcomb, also PTA, and you two came to visit. We are actually at APTA headquarters in Washington, D.C. Actually, I don't think that we're technically in Washington, D.C. here at headquarters. Alexandria? Yeah, maybe I got to get that right. But we are in the boardroom. Look at the view.
Amazing.
What do you think? Shannon, what do you think?
I think that the fact they have a garden on the roof is fabulous. We've been watching somebody harvest all day.
Isn't it great?
It is great.
And butterflies.
And butterflies. It's beautiful. We have a view of the planes taking off and landing. It's great. So Shannon, is this your first time at APTA headquarters?
It is my first time here in Alexandria. And Sanaz and I came to take a look at the building. So we're crashing the summit.
Yeah.
And Sanaz is doing her duty taking photos because she is the social media coordinator for the PTA Council.
Absolutely. Sanaz, is this your first time at headquarters?
It is my third time.
Okay.
So, yeah, I'm very fortunate to have the opportunity to come here.
Yeah. Is this, here, let's put this a little bit closer. There you go. Is this your first time in the boardroom?
Yes, it is.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a really nice boardroom. Yeah, well, and you know what? We just interviewed somebody before you guys got here that was talking about getting PTs and PTAs into the boardroom, essentially getting us connected to the people that we can rub elbows with that make decisions and influence really how we get paid and how we deliver service and how we deliver care. So I like to think of it as us PTAs and PTs. We're showing up in the boardroom, and we are literally in a boardroom right now. So we are very grateful that APTA has allowed myself, PTA Plus, and Jimmy, PT Pintcast to come and cover the Future of Rehab Therapy Summit. And so you two have not actually been here for the summit, but there's been a lot of very interesting insights and ideas that have kind of come out of the summit. So we can definitely talk about some future things for physical therapist assistants during this conversation. But Shannon, you are here for the first time because of what? What brought you here to APTA headquarters?
So this is my first time for Leadership Congress. I am the recently appointed PTA Council representative for the Academy of Education.
Congratulations.
And so I will have my first big meeting Friday for Leadership Congress. I am hanging out for House of Delegates because I want to observe the event that is, and then we'll stick around and do Capitol Hill Day as well.
Great. Wow.
So all in.
Yeah, all in. I mean, while you're here, you might as well do all the things, right?
Yes.
Well, like you mentioned earlier, if we want to be part of the conversation and be part of the table, you need to show up, and that's a big part of leadership is just showing up and being there. And I found that opportunities have arisen just from attending, whether it was a state conference as a student and then other activities as an early professional. People are like, hey, I notice you hang out here a lot. What do you think about this? And some of those networking opportunities and then positions as they open happen organically just from being present and showing up.
Absolutely. Yeah. Things happen when you arrive and you say yes to opportunity. I mean, just like all of the things that you are involved in Ohio, and I say all because there's a lot of things. I mean, I think the three of us sitting here, we recognize the depth of the availability for opportunity for PTAs because we have all been on the receiving end of the benefits that we get from being involved in our profession, right? So Shannon, you are the secretary for Ohio's Board of Directors.
Correct. I'm working currently in my second term, which will end in 2026. And I've been doing that. It will be 6 years by the time I'm done with it. And with that, there's a lot of committee work and some liaisoning that goes along with that. And I think that, Katie, you and Sanaz and I have really been looking at how do we grow PTA leadership? How do we look at setting things up for success for the next generation of people that follow behind us? And in Ohio, we're really fortunate because, the position of the board is, why would we limit leadership opportunities based on a designation? Mm-hmm. Your clinical skills are your clinical skills, and your leadership skills are another set entirely. Why not develop those and expand the pool that we have available for the different positions? So I'm super excited because in Ohio, we had a PTA advisory council, and that has recently been voted to be transitioned into a PTA special interest group. That's really exciting because it's a lot more approachable. We're looking at 3 brand new leaders to serve as chair, co-chair, and secretary for that. And then it's also an opportunity for any of the members of Ohio, whether or not they are PTAs, because, it could be that you're a PTA educator or that you work with PTAs, you don't know what the issues are, and want some more information. And so I think this is a really good opportunity to be more inclusive, to be welcoming, and to just have another place at the table.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is breaking news. Breaking news for Ohio is that there is now a PTA SIG. So it's official. We have actually started looking for these leaders to fill these positions in Ohio.
We actually have secured leaders for all 3 positions.
Yay!
So
you can't see this, but we are clapping.
Yay!
Super
excited
this
about
is
that.
really great. Yeah.
Yep. So shout out to Alyssa Mose, who is going to chair. Craig McHenry is going to be the co-chair, and Sydney Schmidt is going to be secretary for that as well. So we're super excited.
Yeah.
And then I can't not give a shout out to UC Bearcats, because 2 of those positions are former students of mine. So I'm really excited to see Alyssa and Craig come up and really embrace those opportunities as student leaders, and then also as early professionals, which is really great.
That has a lot to do with you. So thank you, because your leadership and, being a mentor to them is everything.
Yeah, it's somebody saying, hey, I think that you would serve well in this type of position or in this category. And I think if we don't say those things to people, then they'll never know it, or they might not recognize the strength. So I think we need to write these names down, because I have a feeling that they will be filling other important leadership roles and positions in the state of Ohio and beyond here in the future. So we need to kind of be keeping our eyes to that PTA special interest group and those leaders that are taking on these positions and roles, and no pressure. We have now broadcasted that out. So,
Before we move on, I would be remiss if I didn't give out a shout out to Carolyn Schisler, who is the program director at UC Claremont for the PTA program, because she does such an amazing job of networking. Mm-hmm. She is really energetic and really does an excellent job of connecting people with other people for opportunities for professional growth and then just personal development.
You became a physical therapist to help people, not to feel like just another number. At US Physical Therapy, we're 135 plus local brands, backed by 1 national support team. That means more opportunity and better resources, while working for locally owned clinics in your backyard. Find your next role with a company that puts PTs first. Start today at usph.com.
She's been a great support for me in the podcast as well. When I started this, I was like, who's actually going to listen? Is anybody actually going to listen to this? And she's really been a huge supporter for me. She talks to me a lot about the different topics that we talk about, and definitely has a great program and really tries to foster that development and growth of her students.
And her faculty.
And her faculty as well.
There,
yeah.
And she was the one that really pushed me into applying for the position for PTA council rep. I wouldn't have done that without her saying, hey, there's this opening. I really think you should do it.
Yeah. And when you look at the profession, really the students are the most important group of people to try to mentor and bring up. And, you can always say that students are busy and this and that, but if they have great mentorship and leaders, and it's not just introducing them, but taking their hand and going to things, and Carolyn is very good about that. I know not too long ago she was she took a trip to Mexico and did some things with her students and other healthcare professionals with charity work. So she is in it in every way. So I think that she's a great model for other programs also to look at, because look at how many students that are graduating from there and, you know, not only succeeding, but, you know, taking on leadership positions. So kudos to her.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So, I mean, I think you bring up an important piece is that sometimes we think that PTA students don't have a lot of time, and they don't. I mean, they're in and out in less than 2 years. So there really isn't a lot of time. And I think that it also makes it challenging because the types of opportunities that we have sometimes span a little bit longer or a little bit beyond the time that they have in school. So we have to be very strategic about where we point them and push them in these different types of opportunities and roles and things that they can participate in. But I've always thought if we can just give it to them in small bites, if we can do bite-sized pieces and invite them, come and see, test the waters, dip your toes in. You don't have to say yes to big commitments and things like that, but just be there. Just be there, ask questions, get in proximity to it. That's something that I talk a lot about on the show is if you can get yourself closer to something that you might want to emulate in the future, it's going to help you kind of unpack what it's all about. And then you're going to know a little bit better if that's something that you want to do. And there might be people who come and dip their toe in the water and say, not for me. And that's fine.
Right.
But there might be people who come and say, you know what, I think that there's a space for me here.
Right.
I think that there's something that I can contribute or participate in. Shannon, what do you think about that? How do you see students connecting and participating in these types of events and activities and SIGs and committees and all of that?
Well, I think it's important to be able to have an idea of what you're getting into. When I was a student, I was the APTA, OPTA rep for my class and did attend different things. I was not on the student leadership for Ohio. They had one PTA position available at that point. Something exciting that's happening this year is that every role for our student SIG in Ohio also has a PTA role as well. So instead of just a PTA chair for every position on that student SIG, there are leadership opportunities both for PT students and PTA students as well, which is really exciting. I think that kind of talking with somebody, finding out what the actual commitments are, because with that student leadership, you're on a call for an hour and then have a little bit of prep work between. So the time commitment isn't as daunting as you initially think it might be. So if, you know, as a student, somebody is interested in doing something, ask who's a good person for me to talk to. If you don't know who to talk to, ask somebody else. They may have an idea of who to connect you with. And just because you don't know doesn't mean you need to just stay quiet and in the corner. Go ahead and ask and see where you get connected and get more information and try it out.
Yeah. So essentially there's someone there to lead you that'll hold your hand and walk you through the process. You don't have to go it alone.
Mentorship is available, whether it's formal or informal. And if you aren't aware of where to connect, asking, your instructors in school or some peers, hey, that sounds interesting. What do you know about that? Who should I talk to about that? Just being bold and asking those questions.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. One of the things that I did when I first became a member was I sat down in front of my computer and pulled up APTA's website and Ohio's website as well. And I went through and tried to locate as many of the leaders, and almost every website that you go to is going to have here's our leaders or here's our board or something like that. And I looked to see who was serving in what roles, and lo and behold, you were the PTA council or caucus representative, Sanaz, at the time. So I wrote her name down. And then when I came to CSM the first time, I looked to see who the leaders were in the caucus, and I wrote their names down too. And I just tried to remember that. And I was like, well, in case I run into somebody, I want to be able to make that connection. Like, oh, I've read your article, or I read what you wrote, or I've seen the things that you've been talking about. And that way I could kind of make that connection. To me, it was really important to be involved, even just a little bit, into the profession or into the association, because I'm teaching students about this. And if I can't answer their questions, it didn't rub well with me. It just didn't sit well for me to be a member or a non-member and then try to answer questions for them. Like I felt like if I couldn't adequately answer that, then I wasn't really doing my job as an educator. So that's why it was important for me to kind of dig in and see what people were doing in the profession.
And I want to kind of add to that. So people who are listening to this podcast might think, yeah, well, I'm not in education. Everybody at some point may come across a student at their clinic, even if they're not a CI, a family member who wants to become a PTA, whatever the case might be, a patient, something. So I feel like knowing where to go to find the information or just knowing some of the basic things about your profession is very important, especially if you work in an educational institution. So, a big hospital system or just really any big institution, because we come across students. So I think, having that information yourself or knowing where to go find it is extremely helpful.
Yeah. And I think that you two are a really great example of this. So Shannon, in your current role, you have taken a good bit of students, and you haven't, I say you haven't been out that long, but you've been a PTA a lot less longer than I have. But you have taken students in the clinic. You also have worked very closely with education as an adjunct instructor. Now, you on the opposite end, you have worked in schools and whatnot as well, but currently you don't take students with you. You work in home health and you don't typically take students. You don't necessarily teach in any curriculum or program, but you go talk to PT and PT, both DPT and PTA students on the regular basis. You have some DPT programs that reach out to you regularly, Sanaz, that says, hey, will you come and talk to our students about the PT-PTA relationship? So you didn't necessarily have a direct connection as a clinical instructor or as an adjunct or as a faculty member, but you're still very involved in what happens with students.
Correct. And it's all about, making those connections, meeting people. It's interesting, as awful as COVID was, some positive things came out of it. I'm doing a yearly lecture on Zoom to a program in down south in in Alabama. So it's like, I would have never done that. Same thing with Cincinnati. I do a lecture sometimes to Carolyn's school. So it's, so take the opportunities and, try to build on it. Other people hear about it. I am becoming even a bigger fan of social media, but I think this is one way that people can, find out, oh, they're doing that, and we don't have to get her out here. We can just do it on Zoom or whatever. So that's a great way to, bring a different perspective. And sometimes I think students especially, they hear their teachers all day long.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of nice to hear maybe the same thing from somebody else or someone who's practicing, because, they think, oh, well, my teacher doesn't even practice. But, sometimes just hearing that same thing is very important. Repetition.
Yeah, absolutely. So for anybody listening to the show who works in a PTA program, if you want somebody to come and talk to your students, or a DPT program, if you want somebody to come and talk to your students about benefits of belonging, value, membership, PT-PTA relationship, teamwork, Sanaz is your girl. Advanced proficiency. You have like 100. I don't think that there is 100. If there was, you would have them all. And if there is not, you would make some.
I would make some.
You might just start.
We should make one.
You could
right here.
Okay. What would you pick?
Social media.
Social media. So let's talk about that a little bit. So you are official, unofficial social media liaison. You are the co-chair of the PTA Council steering group for the American Physical Therapy Association. So you are already tightly connected with it, but what made it so that you really wanted to take on this task? Like, what was it that drove you to do that?
I'm not sure I can say anything specific. When the group first got together and started, we were basically trying to take on different positions and spread the work. And I'm very passionate about showing to everyone what is happening. So I think just that plus having some connections through the stuff that I do, I volunteer to do that. And so far it's worked out great. I would love if more folks would either tag APTA, PTA for the social media to let me know about things going on, or send APTA, PTA a message on things that are happening and give me a little description. Basically what I do is I try to gather what are some great things that PTAs and PTA students are doing around the country, and to post about it. So, and we obviously go through APTA, so whatever you send me, I, try to just make it look professional, send it to them, get approval, and then post it. So I think this is a fantastic way for networking as well, and for basically everybody around the country to know who's doing what. And, when you think about, gosh, I would love to find a PTA to do such and such. Well, look at some of this stuff. It's amazing. I know this is not an example of this, but just to talk about networking, just from all the different things that I am involved with in Ohio, I had a program director, a PT at the VA hospital reach out to me in Cleveland, and he was like, "Hey, we're looking for a PTA. I don't know if you know anybody." And I happened to be involved with Bryan and Stratton College, and they had a vet that was, a veteran that was graduating. And so I got them connected, and he got a job there. So, that was just such an amazing example of how some things work out. Yeah. So I think the more networking, the more you put yourself out there, tell me what, we can help each other. Mm-hmm. So.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's the power of networking is like in full scale happening right here in front of us here this weekend. I say weekend. I know it's in the middle of the week, but I feel like it's been an ongoing weekend since I've been here. Here at the summit, at the Future of Rehab Therapy Summit, I've met OTs, I've met speech and language pathologists, I've met an audiologist, I've met occupational, did I already say occupational therapy? Occupational therapist. Got to meet and actually interview somebody who, shout out to Jamar. He was a physical therapist assistant and then went back to school to be an occupational therapist and now works for AOTA. So it's really interesting how we can kind of connect and work together. And, some of the problems and the issues and the gaps that we have, we might have to start kind of looking and talking to other people outside of our own silos to see if we can kind of solve some of those issues. So networking is definitely important. Good connections. Yeah. I agree. Yeah. So
one of the things I love about the profession is that I never stop learning. I'm always a student, and I find that I'm also always an educator, and that I'm not walking this path alone. And that's where all the things that we've been talking about kind of come together is, where are those connections? Where are you the student? Where are you the educator? How are you connecting with other people? And that's really how you grow as a professional.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're always educating each other. All right. So, Shannon, what are you looking forward to the most for Leadership Congress? What's your...
I'm just here to soak it all in. It's like I feel, as a first timer, I'm just kind of wide-eyed at all the chaos, and see... And it's organized chaos.
Absolutely.
But just looking to experience it and do as much as I can and participate where I can and go all in.
Are you still staying late just to finish your notes? Aphelis Scribe uses ambient AI to auto-generate documentation, so your notes are done before you leave the room. You want to see how it works? Email me now at jimmy@ptpintcast.com. I'll give you a quick demo. Are you still stuck spending hours on administrative tasks? Empower EMR automates scheduling, billing, and documentation so you can actually focus on your patients, not your paperwork. Book a free demo now at empoweremr.com.
So first time at House of Delegates, so it is a wild ride, I will tell you that. The first time I actually watched it first live stream during COVID was the first time I ever watched House of Delegates. Excuse me. And the interesting part was I was actually here at the Omni and I was here for the centennial, and the House of Delegates was happening at the same time. Well, I wasn't in the council or caucus at the time, and I wasn't a delegate, so the only thing I could do was be in the gallery. And I thought to myself, well, why would I go to the gallery when I can watch it online while I'm sitting by the pool? So that's what I did.
As you should.
And, it was probably the best place for me to do it, though, because I didn't really understand the rules. So they use Robert's rules, and I didn't really understand the language. So I was able to sit there and process it without looking like I had no idea what was going on, because I really did not have any idea what was going on. So at least people couldn't see my confusion on my face while I was at the pool listening to House of Delegates. But great experience. It is different than most things that we're associated with in our profession. So it's a good experience. I think if anybody ever has the chance to come and listen in the gallery, you usually do have to register for these types of things. But members, I do believe, are allowed to come and sit in the gallery if they register ahead of time. But to know what happens at that integral level of, the nitty gritty details of how things in our profession move forward, what pushes the needle, the words that we use matter a lot to people. So to me, it's such an interesting process that you can't really fully appreciate until you see it in action. Now, Sanaz, you've been to House many times. So we shorten it to House, or HOD, House of Delegates, many times. What would you say to someone who's fresh and new coming in like Shannon?
Don't watch it on Zoom by the pool. Actually, come. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, you can't do that anyways.
They're not live streaming this year.
I know. No, I think that sitting next to someone who has been here before, because there's a lot of questions, and it's kind of interesting because it took me obviously years to understand, and I'm sure there's stuff that I'm like, what happened now? What, because they do make changes as well, so the entire process for elections has changed, then, so a lot of changes. But I think just sitting here and, like you said, soaking it in, but sit, next to someone who actually is not also brand new, and that way you can ask questions and things like that. But just, really keep an open, attitude about what's going on, because a lot of it is process. And, I have to say, it's something very different than I personally had ever experienced. It's very organized. It's done politely. It's, done professionally. And I think it is a really great way to conduct business and come up with, changes that our profession needs. I love to hear both sides. I think it's going to be a fantastic experience. I'm so happy for you. Like, I'm excited, that you're there.
And you're sitting next to me.
I know. Yeah. Yes.
Yes. Okay. So Sanaz, what are you the most excited about over the next few days here at Leadership Congress?
So this year I am in a new role being the co-chair. So I am excited about helping the chair, Alyssa, and the rest of the steering group to conduct business tomorrow. And we have some fun, fantastic opportunities to learn and share what all the PTAs have been doing across the country, to try to teach new reps, what they can do to try to engage and improve membership and involvement of other PTAs in their sections and chapters. So I'm excited about that. I'm excited to meet some of the new PTA council reps that are here this year. I am always so happy to see the folks that I don't get to see very often, including you and Shannon. So, this is so exciting for me. This is a great time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that networking piece, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, it's already, today I have gotten to talk to some people that I don't get to talk to. Mm-hmm. So this is fantastic.
I mean, how many lifelong friends have you made from working
Absolutely.
closely?
And, it was interesting because at some point when you were talking to Shannon about students, I don't do this because it's not fun.
Yes.
I do this because I have a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I know it's very difficult to portray that maybe initially to a student to say, oh yeah, come to our business meeting or come to our, I mean, if they come and just see us, I mean, we have fun together. There is absolutely some work, but if it wasn't fun, we would not be doing it.
Absolutely.
So I would love for them to give themselves the opportunity to meet those lifelong friends and to, come and join us with what we do. I mean, this evening, APTA is hosting a rooftop party. What do you think happens at that? So give yourself an opportunity to go out there, meet people. And like, you said earlier, maybe it may not be for you at that time. And you're the perfect example because I was trying to get you to get involved in the PTA caucus. And the first time I asked you, you were not ready. And you said that. And then a few years later, you were. So just that, or maybe if you're not interested in this, you meet someone who's doing something else and, you hook up with them and you follow in their footsteps. So
yeah, a little bit of something for everybody, right?
That's right.
Yeah. All right. So a tradition that we have on the PT Pintcast and on PTA Plus is something called the parting shot. So parting shot, that's Jimmy's. PTA, or the plus point is mine, Katie's. So what I'm going to do is ask you what your my words. I've talked to a lot of people. What your parting shot is, Shannon, and or your plus point. It's basically what kind of wise words do you want to leave with the audience? Like, this is your chance to start a fire.
Start a fire.
You can start a fire. Yes. You can get on a soapbox. You do whatever you want. It's your parting shot. You own it.
I guess I'm going to start over. I guess what I would leave people with is just remember that in the PT profession, you're always a student, you're always an educator, and there's always a place for you to get connected.
Good. Couldn't have said it better myself. Sanaz.
Wow, I got to follow that, huh?
Parting shot or plus point? Or both?
I would say for anyone who is interested and has any time to try to just come to one thing new this year. And we actually, if you happen to be in Ohio, we have our big 75-year anniversary coming up next year.
Right.
And we're starting the celebrations this year. So no matter what part of Ohio you're in, every district is having some fantastic event. So just make one change and come to one thing this year and meet a couple of new people and see what and where it takes you.
Absolutely. And since the equipment has been left behind, we're going to push a button and see what happens. Okay. Thank you both for your time. I appreciate that you came to APTA headquarters just to have an interview with me,
Anytime.
Katie Sutton,
Yes.
PTA Plus podcast and
Thank
PT
you.
Pintcast. Although I know that's not why you really came, but
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
thank you, ladies.
Thank you.
This is the PT Pintcast.
You want to specialize in ortho, neuro, or sports physical therapy and actually get paid while doing it? Brooks IHL offers accredited residencies and fellowships with full salary, full benefits, and real mentorship from clinical experts. Learn more and apply at brooksihl.org. There aren't nearly enough podcasts in this world. Said no one. Why not launch one more? If you thought about launching a show but don't quite know how, we can help you do all that back-end stuff. Email me at jimmy@ptpintcast.com and we can add one more podcast no one else will listen to the pile.